everyone, it's Lou Collins for CraftStash. Today we are going to be looking at journal pages, and I want to show you how to create a Dutch door in a journal page. Now you may have done this before, but there's lots of different ways of doing it, and if you've never heard of a Dutch door, I'm going to explain to you exactly what it is. It's the concept of bringing one page in and really cohesive and working together with the next couple of pages, because you usually see a peek through. This Dutch door may be half a page, so that whatever design is on the next page along, that's showing through and incorporated into the design on the first page. And this is not just for journals either. This Dutch door technique is great for your handmade cards too. Now, as you can see, I've got a fantastic collection here that I'm going to be using for my journal pages today. This is brand new, exclusive to CraftStash from the Frugal Crafter herself. This is one of her new collections. You'll find it linked in the description below, and we'll make sure we link it on the screen at the end for you as well. I'm going to be using lots of elements from this collection, but we'll make sure we link everything down there. So starting in my journal, as I say, this is the technique of taking your first page, continuing whatever design it is that you choose onto the second and the third page. And this is by folding back, tearing, die cutting your page so that you can see what's here and that it all works together. It's a really great way of bringing more space into one design. So I've chosen to go with the colours that are in the papers. So we've got beautiful pinks and greens here, and I'm always working on a craft journal in this one. So craft is going to be my base colour, so I can afford to bring in some white as well. Now, it's really handy if you are able to remove the pages from your journal to work on them when you're doing a Dutch door. If not, something like a craft knife and a mat, a self-healing mat to go in between, something to protect your pages, is really handy. I really want to die cut a nice border into this, and I'm going to be using the borders that are included in the collection that I'm featuring today as well. So I have removed my page. It's really easy with these sort of ring binders to just pop it back in afterwards. This die set is the buttons and borders die set. I'm going to be featuring the borders more than the buttons. This is a continuous die, the one that I've chosen, because this edge doesn't cut, so it's going to remain part of my page, but it will cut this edge here instead. And I've got a gap at the end here where the line just stops, and I will link that up, because to do this, and I'm going to do this around about half the way up my page, I'm going to need to die cut a second time. So that's now released in a continuous pattern, one half of my page. I can keep this for something else in case I'd like to use it. It's always really handy to have your journal page colour, the type of paper, spare, just in case you want to do some tags or something that match. And while I've got the die and the die cutting machine out, I'm going to repeat this onto just a white piece of cardstock, and that way I've got a nice lace overlay. So just cutting that white lace border so it's got a nice straight edge there. And I've made it really long just so that I can place it onto my craft journal page here and line it up wherever it needs to go. So I haven't got to worry about cutting it too short or anything like that. So that's going to sit really nicely just like so. So I'll glue that on and then trim those ends and then pop this back into my journal. So now we have our Dutch door. Like I say, you can add the white to the underneath as well, which I may well do later. Now, often what some people will do is put a nice title here, and that will lead on to kind of a 1.5 page spread instead. I certainly want to have some florals peeking out from under here and maybe echoed on this side as well. So I need to focus on that part first, because that's going to be something that's in the background. So I'm now going to mark with a pencil just at the bottom and the top whereabouts my Dutch door comes to, just so I've got a rough guide for placing the flowers, because I want the flowers to look right on this page on their own, but also peek out when the Dutch door is closed as well. Now I love this rose, so I think I'm actually going to build up a sort of a climbing rose here, but I also really like some of the other stamps included in this set that will be perfect in the background. So we've got some ink splats there, we've got this lovely distressed look here which will look really nice in brown on this, or a grey. We've got some postage stamp elements here too, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the rose and create a mask first, so that I can do lots of stamping and masking off and create this really textured and layered look. To do this, I'm going to stamp the rose first of all onto some really thin copy paper. So the most inexpensive paper I've got laying around in my stash, because it doesn't need to be pretty, but it does need to be thin. So I've just got the outline now, I haven't worried about making sure that's stamped perfectly, and I'm going to cut out just the outline. I'm not worrying about the pieces in the middle of this. Now on the back of my mask, I'm also going to put a little bit of repositionable spray glue to help hold this down while I'm stamping. And now I'm going to start the stamping, and I'm going to start at the bottom, work my way up. I'm going to do just the flowers first, then I'm going to mask each flower at a time, and I'm going to start adding accents around. So beginning just down the bottom here. There, beautiful. So then I'm going to take my flower mask, just pop it over the top here. And you always want to stamp first what you'd like to be in the foreground. So if I wanted something else, a butterfly in the foreground, I would make sure that was stamped and masked first before anything else. So now I'm going to start working my way up the design. I can position this wherever I think best. Now that's going to be a little difficult with, let's place this right on the corner, because I've got the ring binder there and my acrylic block was just touching the edge there, and that will interfere with stamping. So let's do it like this. Again, I want to ensure that this is seen from both sides, so when that's closed we can still see the design. So make sure you press down really well around the edge of that paper as well, to get, so you don't have like this missing edge with the stamp. There we go. So now if I lift this up, you'll see we have a nice continuous rose starting to appear there. Let's just carry on all the way up this border. There's my rose border, and you're going to see that beautifully with the Dutch door in place. It's just absolutely stunning. I will be colouring this in, but I want to add some background detail first, so don't throw the mask away. Let's clean this stamp up and move on to those accent stamps. One I mentioned at the beginning with this gorgeous distressed background, and I won't be doing this one in the black that I've done with the others. I'm actually going to do this one probably in a pale brown, so it kind of just fades into the craft cardstock. I've got vintage sepia here, so I'm going to use this. This is actually quite a warm brown, but I think it will still look better than if I was using the black. So I'm just going to use this in a couple of areas. I want to mask off this rose here and stamp this. Let's stamp it just about. I want to make sure I'm not hitting any of the other flowers. Just about there. And then I want to do the same down the bottom here. So I think it's probably best if I mask off this middle one just here. Now back to the blacks. I've got lots of other elements that I can be adding in here. So I've got script. I love the postage stamps. I'm definitely going to be putting some of these in. I absolutely love those paint splats as well. Okay, so now to add some colour. Now, don't put these stamps away too much, because we are going to be coming back to them and using them on this side as well. Now, as I say, I've chosen to use colours that are in the papers because I'm going to bring some of the papers in a little while. So I've just picked out 5 colours there that are in here, and I'm going to colour in just the roses and the leaves with these. So that colouring took me just a little time, but it's so worth it. I mean, look how beautiful that is. Now to work on bringing these 2 pages together. As I said, I do want to incorporate some of these pattern papers. I think this one looks absolutely stunning. All the patterns, all the colours are very similar. This is going to work beautifully just on the inside here. So I'm going to adhere this just about there. So that sits really nicely, and I can bring over here journaling elements and such if I want to, photos, tickets, whatever it may be. On this side, I am going to stamp a few more of the roses and colour them in the same to bring everything together. But I'm also going to be using one of these fabulous tags and pockets. So this comes from the Library Pockets die set. I've cut one of these, and I've also cut one of the other shapes from white as well. I haven't folded this one up yet because I just wanted to show you how easy they are to create. So you just have score lines included and fold them up like so. This one I'm going to pop on this page. I'm probably going to overlap it ever so slightly just so you can see that tag, the border there, but it just overlaps a little bit with a tag coming out of the top that coordinates probably from this paper. I'm not quite sure yet, or I might even use some additional craft cardstock, something. We'll play with that in a little while. So before I actually create this as in glue it all together, I want to stamp a little bit of one of these roses on it and colour it in exactly the same. Now most of this side is going to remain quite plain because I don't want to take emphasis away from this pocket here. So just a couple of ink splats and a little postcard sign up there, and I'm going to glue this down. Now as you can see, I have inked around the edges of this just to give it a little bit of dimension, a little bit of a drop shadow behind there. And I've decided to bring back in that little bit of craft paper that I cut off from the edge here. I'm going to use this to create the tag that goes in the front. We're going to have so much dimension in here. Then I'll do a little bit of work in the middle, and that will be our Dutch door journal pages complete for this particular spread. And there we have an example of a journal page with a Dutch door. So there's so much more I can add to this. Journaling is so personal though, and you can add in tags, pockets, little notelets, photos, memorabilia, wherever you wish. But hopefully you've got a kind of a rough idea of how to create a Dutch door now. So just to finish this off, I added in this tag, Live Life in Full Bloom, using lots of the elements from the Frugal Crafter collection. This is the Watercolour Florals. I added that pattern paper in there. I've added one of the die cuts from one of the sets. This one here, the frames and postage set, has this really fun kind of notebook, torn notebook element. I've added that in. I'd probably add a little note on there, something that I wanted to remember, maybe add some photos in here as well. But like I say, that part is totally personal to you and what you like to put inside your journals. But if you enjoyed learning about this and you'd like lots more tips, tricks and tutorials, all based on papercraft, make sure you are subscribed to the CraftStash YouTube channel. For this collection, you'll find it linked down below, but also in this link just here. And we think you'll also really like this video just here. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you again really soon.